Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest edition of Topes Tales. We are catching up with former Isotopes players, and for the most part, we're finding them on the other side of the world. A couple of weeks ago, we talked to DJ Johnson, who is in Japan, and now we're going to visit with Ryan Carpenter, who is over in Taiwan. He's playing for the Chinese Professional Baseball League, the Raccoon Monkeys, and they are very famous because, number one, it is the only league that is playing baseball right now on this planet. And they're also famous because of the mannequins in the background, the cardboard cutouts. So Ryan, thanks for joining us and thanks for posing with the cardboard cutouts.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to give the fans what they want, right? See the cutouts and all the stationary fans up here.
So let's start with them since you're right next to them. What are they like? How realistic are they when you're up close to them?
Up close, they're not quite as realistic, but when you're, down on the field, we've actually got, quite a few of them. I don't know how many. I'd say easily over 100, maybe over 200. Kind of right behind our dugout. I actually got them to do four of my fiance. So technically, I've got my fiance up rooting me on. She's right behind home plate, and so yeah, when you're out in the field, it looks fairly realistic, believe it or not.
What is involved in getting the cardboard cutouts for your fiance? Like, what's the process like in order to make this happen?
I couldn't tell you because she surprised me with it. Well, she both can keep it in, and so she actually got a hold of my translator, and I'm not sure exactly what the process was, but she sent in a picture of her face, and I showed up for opening day when I was pitching, and there was four of her faces lined up on the cutout right behind home plate. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I love it. That is so cool. I admit I've become a huge fan of the Raccoon Monkeys. The games start very early, but I've been catching the tail end of them, and I'm riveted by them. I also see that there are these like robots that are playing the drums. What can you tell us about the robots that are playing the drums?
Yeah, they're actually I don't know if you can see them from where I'm at, but they're right here
Yeah, we can see them.
behind me. So there you go. So yeah, I mean during the game they'll have some little tunes and songs that they start playing, and they kind of do their little dance and drumming setup there. And I mean, for not having any fans and being an empty stadium, they do a really good job of making it seem like there actually are these are cheerleaders, and then we got songs and everything like that going on the entire time during the game. So it's kind of good.
When I was watching, it sounds like when the visiting team is at bat, there's basically no music whatsoever and really quiet. But then when the home team is up, there's music that's blaring throughout the entire at bats. What else can you tell us about just the differences between the visiting team batting and the home team batting?
Yeah, so that seems to be. I mean, there'll be a little bit of stuff going on, like when when we're out in the mound, but not nearly as much as when our guys up to bat. It's like you said, it's pretty much continuous music, cheering. There's no break in it whatsoever. It's a lot different than baseball back at home. And I remember experiencing that the first time during a spring training game, actually back before stuff was more on lockdown, and they actually had fans, and it was it was wild. I mean, they get really into their games. They get really excited. They stay the whole game, and they're just the whole fan atmosphere is definitely a lot different, which is it's kind of nice because you get the feeling that the fans are more engaged, even though they're not here right now, but when they were here, and yeah, it's just completely different than how it is back home.
You mentioned what it was like when you first arrived. Tell us, when did you arrive in Taiwan? When did the restrictions start to go into order? Kind of take us through what it's been like for you on the other side of the world with this pandemic that we're all going through.
Yeah, I went to the doctor's office. I want to say this was probably early January. Just precautionary if there's anything I should do before going over there. And he said, no, everything's fine. And, sure enough, obviously this whole thing came about, but I got here on February 2nd or February 3rd. So it still wasn't, too bad yet. And then obviously over time, they started restricting fans coming in. They started restricting, travel here, travel out, and obviously, in the U.S. and other parts of the world started to get more severe. But as far as Taiwan is a whole, I mean, they've handled it, extremely well here. They kind of, got a hold of this whole situation before a lot of places did, which is good. And it was kind of ironic, talking to my family when I was over here, and I said, yeah, this is probably the best place for me to be right now while this is all going on, because it's, probably one of the safest spots to be. But yeah, I mean, we don't know when we'll be getting fans back here, if that'll be anytime soon or not. But they're being cautious about everything and making sure we're staying safe. So.
What are some of the other measures? Do you guys get tested? Do you have your temperature tested? What are some of the other things that's like inside the clubhouse to make sure that things are safe and clean for everyone?
Yeah, so every day actually when we show up, right before we enter the park, we get our temperature tested, and then again right before entering the clubhouse. So actually twice we do. Besides that, I mean, we have constantly people sanitizing and cleaning stuff, whether it's in the clubhouse or in the weight room, food room, whatnot. And it's required of us to wear masks, whether we're out and about, going to get coffee, going on the train. Stuff's not really like shut down here hardly at all, but people are also being very cautious at the same time, and still kind of distancing themselves a little bit. But it's not anywhere as bad as from what I've heard back home or other places. Obviously I haven't experienced it, but just from what people have told me.
Let me ask you a couple of questions about your time in Albuquerque. You were there in 2016 and 2017. First season was a tough one for you, no doubt about it. The second one, you were one of the best pitchers in the league. I was just super proud of the way that you bounced back from one year to the next. What are some of your takeaways, your memories of those 2 years playing for the Isotopes?
Yeah, I mean, you said it best. That year in 2016 was very rough for me. That was, hands down the worst year of my career, and it was very tough. I got moved to the bullpen and then didn't really adjust well there either. But yeah, it just seemed like no matter what the day was, I went. This year I worked really, change my mindset and tell myself that obviously I'm better than that and everything. And came out that next year and obviously had an amazing year. And it set myself up great for being becoming a free agent that year, and ended up making my debut the next year and everything. So that was a season I think I'll always remember, because it was pretty much as polar opposite as you can get from a pitching standpoint. Going from one year being getting roughed up that bad, and then rebounding really well the next year. So.
Speaking of the major league debut with the Tigers, and you were with the Tigers off and on each of the last 2 years, I would think that everyone is just ecstatic to make the major leagues, but knowing what you went through in 2016, did that make it even more special?
Yeah, it did. I mean, I've told, a couple of people that, know me a little better. I mean, it was kind of, a long road for me. I had gotten drafted in 2011 and then ended up getting released just 2 years later, which was kind of a shock to me. And then, it was kind of just scratching and clawing my way back. The Rockies had picked me up after I got released, and then, just slowly went through the minor league system. Obviously, like I said, had that rough year in 2016, and kind of, that thought looming in the back of my head that I might get released again. And, thankfully the Rockies, held on to me, and I had that, really bounce back here the next year. But it was 7-8 long years before I made my debut, and it was not the smoothest ride, but in the end, obviously the goal was achieved, and that was, like you said, it made it even that much sweeter for me.
Let's finish by talking a little bit more about the Raccoon Monkeys. Seems like there's a lot of offense, a lot of home runs. Tell us about some of the dugout celebrations, the chanting, and other things that you and your teammates do.
Yeah, like I said before, it gets wild here, and that's the guys aren't excluded from that. It's pretty much been a slugfest these last 3 games. Our offense is incredible. I think there's been 20 combined home runs in 3 games, which is crazy to think about. And we haven't had a game under 4 hours and 15 minutes yet, I don't think. The opening night was about 5.5 hours, and so it's they're long games, but there's no shortness of hits and action going on. And after every home run, there's quite the celebration going on in the dugout, and they actually hand out these little like plush stuffed animal things that I guess during season when there's actually fans. They go out in front of the dugout and kind of throw them up to the fans, and they're still doing that right now, just throwing it up to the fake little robot cutout fans. And it's like I said, there's no shortness of entertainment whatsoever.
It sounds like Taiwan is a lot like the Pacific Coast League, so you got prepared perfectly for this.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, I always told people that the longest games I ever played in my life was in the PCO, and now that's almost looking like a walk in the park compared to here. So we'll see how that pans out.
All right. Final question, just away from the ballpark. What have been some of your favorite things eating, exploring in Taiwan?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of exploring a little bit, when and if we can. I went up to Taipei, probably close to a month ago, on one of our off days just to explore, and it was an incredible city. Everything's just so different here. The architecture, just the way of life, food. People are just insanely nice here. They're very helpful, very friendly, and yeah, it's just very different, in every way imaginable. And it's been fun, kind of exploring that and seeing those differences and trying to get used to at the same time of the way of life that they have here. So.
All right, Ryan, thanks so much for your time. We'll let you get back to the cardboard cutouts, your fans and your teammates. And but from Albuquerque, a lot of people wanted to say hello. Kevin, Andrew, John, Ryan Maxwell, everybody. So again, thanks for your time. And man, just have a blast over there. We're jealous that you get to play.
Absolutely, man. It was great catching up and great doing this. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're all Monkeys fans here in Albuquerque. Go Monkeys.
Love it.